Thavron Solutions presents Creating an ITFM TBM Roadmap. Part 2. The Roadmap.
You wouldn't want to drive across the country without GPS or a route planned out. Without knowing potential road closures, speed traps and mile markers, the journey would be much more difficult. The same is true for ITFM, TBM.
What makes up an ITFM TBM roadmap? What are the pieces that define and structure the path that your journey will take? To answer these questions, we must examine the 4 pillars of execution for ITFM TBM.
The 4 pillars of execution are people and processes, data and systems, modeling and reporting, governance and validation.
Like the 4 cardinal points of a compass, taking all of the pillars into account is necessary to have a successful journey. If you were to focus on just one pillar, you can achieve a one-time improvement, but no lasting and perpetuating results.
Knowing the 4 pillars is a great start, but what should you be looking for within those pillars? What are the main ingredients to look for to ensure strong and complete pillars?
People and processes. This pillar includes the skill sets and capabilities of your team, availability of dependent resources, and the maturity of your operational processes. Without the right people available at the right times, with well-understood processes to help prioritize work, your group can quickly descend into chaos and failure.
Data and systems. This pillar includes the data that will feed into your processes and the systems that produce that data.
While this is initially one of the largest stumbling blocks, focusing solely on this without maturing the other pillars will result in an unevenly supported house that will quickly topple.
Modeling and reporting. Many off-the-shelf software systems in the ITFM, TBM space have built-in modeling tools. But what rules and guidelines will you use to design your model? What are the right choices for allocation drivers?
What is the best way to design and execute what-if models that support the strategic decisions your executives need to make? Reports and dashboards may come standard out of the box, but are they the right ones for your organization?
Governance and validation. This pillar is critical if you want to have repeatable and trusted transparent results. How are you managing your data? How are you reporting issues? Where are your documented processes and schedules?
Almost every team has a person who is passionate about processes and governance. Take this opportunity to empower them. If you don't have anyone to fill this role, engage a partner to help you make changes. You will need to understand how to manage the process for change requests and the mechanics of communicating and documenting those requests to the users. The 5 steps for building a roadmap. Now that we know what goes into making up the roadmap, how do we begin creating it? Where do we start? What steps do we need to take to ensure a correct build?
Planning and communicating a successful roadmap creation needs to include the following 5 steps.
Defining the target. Measuring the gaps. Understanding the gap impact. Planning of gap closures. Scheduling new initiatives.
Let's explore these steps.
Defining the target. Measuring gaps in data isn't overly difficult, but incorporating effective targets for strategic goals can be. You need to ask yourself, what brings value to the organization? What aligns with the corporate goals? How do I incorporate those goals into what IT does?
Once you understand the strategic targets, you need to phase in the steps required to get there. Knowing what fits your budget and staff capabilities is imperative. It does no good to be over-ambitious in your attempt to achieve the target if you do not have the capital or personnel to achieve it.
Small steps can be fine. Forward momentum is the key. At each step, evaluate the lessons learned. Keep the vision on track. Make adjustments when needed. Being flexible and responsive can make the journey much smoother.
Measuring the gaps. To find problems and misalignments, measure what is important to the initiative and the organization. Finding the weak spots will enable you to plan around them and identify work to be done in the future.
Measurements should be both quantitative and qualitative. Make sure that you focus on and only measure the parameters and data sources that are important for the target. Boiling the ocean will expend a great deal of time, energy, and money without providing any real gain.
Understanding the gap impact. Not every gap has a material impact. Understanding the value of the change, both to IT and to the organization as a whole, will determine your priorities.
Try not to feel overwhelmed by what seems like all the changes that you feel should be made. It is important to realize that not every gap found is worth the effort to close. Find the gaps that can make an actual impact, then formulate plans to focus efforts only on them.
Plan how to close the gaps. Even with existing gaps, it is possible to move forward. Temporary workarounds may be used as gaps are in process of being closed. If there are gaps where a business rule can give directionally correct strategic definitions, then do so.
If it makes sense, you can lower the priority of gap closures for items in order to focus on those gaps that cannot be as easily avoided. Find the 1 or 2 initiatives that are low-hanging fruit, and then work your way toward the target. Remember, perfection is not the goal.
Schedule what moves you forward. How do you get the work done? Who is available? What changes will ensure that alignment sticks? What will keep you from having an annual defined cleanup project?
Remember that you are executing enterprise-level projects. Even small projects can contain moving pieces that may require consensus across the organization. The devil, as always, is in the details. A project manager should be utilized whenever possible. Even the smallest plan roadmap should lead to lasting impacts on your organization.
Please join us for Part 3, Achieving Business Benefits, where we will explore the impact to the business that your efforts can have.